All right. Hi, everybody. So we are continuing our countdown to the release of the Romans. This is the 10 Roman facts in 10 days that leads up to the publication of my book, The Romans, A 2,000-Year History of the Roman State, on October 7th of 2025. And I wanted to do this because if you are watching this video before October 7th of 2025, you can get this book that gives you, in a way that I think no other book that exists currently does, a history of the Roman state that is unified across those 2,000 years. You can get this book for 20% off if you go to basicbooks.com and enter that promo code Romans20. So today we're doing our 10 facts in 10 days that grow out of the things that I thought were particularly fascinating and interesting as I was writing this book. And we're at fact number 8. Fact number 8 is there was once a giant city plan carved on marble blocks that showed every building in the city of Rome. And this was built or this was created between 203 and 211 AD, when the Emperor Septimius Severus ordered a 2,700 square foot carved marble map of the city of Rome that was based on tax records and included accurate renderings of the ground floor architectural plans for every building in the city. This was actually part of a major rebuilding project through which Septimius Severus reconstructed a vast swath of buildings stretching from the Tiber through the imperial fora that had been destroyed in a massive fire during the reign of Commodus. And if you walk around these areas in Rome, you can see places where there are still visible inscriptions that talk about reconstructions, restoring buildings after an incendio, with Severus's name on them. So on the left is the Portico of Octavia, near the Tiber River, kind of close to what was the Jewish quarter in the city of Rome. And you can see there rest incendio, right, restored from fire. The Temple of Saturn also says something similar in the Roman Forum. What Severus was doing was placing on an interior wall in the biggest structure that he rebuilt. This was the Temple of Peace, the largest temple in the Roman Forum. Severus placed this map of his city that he rebuilt on a wall in the Temple of Peace. That wall is now the exterior wall of the Church of Cosmas and Damian. So on the right, you can see what that wall looks like now. On the left, you can see how the marble plan was placed on it. What you can also see is, if you look at that wall, you see lines with like little square holes. Well, these were where the marble slabs were placed into the wall. So this is these two images on the left and center. These come from the new museum that has the remains of the marble plan. And so those marble pieces are actually pieces of Severus's marble plan. But what's interesting about this is you can see on those pieces where the wood pegs would go that would mount them into the wall of what's now the Church of Cosmas and Damian. The pieces that were placed were labeled so that you could look and you could see monuments that you recognized, either monuments that you recognized from before or monuments that you recognized as being rebuilt by Septimius Severus in this process. So, for example, this fragment has the seating area of the Theater of Pompey. This fragment here shows the Caelian Hill near the Temple of Claudius. And this one shows the Circus Maximus with a current view of the same spot. So you can see the Circus Maximus, you see the sort of curved part with the seating areas and the entryways. And there you see the same exact part of the Circus Maximus. This is a later kind of reconstruction. The Circus Maximus burns and is rebuilt under Constantine, but it's the same basic footprint. And so you can actually match monuments that exist with things that are represented on the marble plan. Now it's interesting because the marble plan is not designed to serve as something that one would go and consult. And so this image, I think, gives you a sense of what the marble plan actually would have been like. It's in a kind of library or reading room in the Temple of Peace, and you look up and you just see the immensity of this thing. but you can't actually go and say, I want to see what the floor plan of this building in, the 13th region of Rome actually is. That's not what it's designed to do. It's instead designed to represent for you this sort of totality of the restoration project that Septimius Severus has undertaken. And this is part of a larger effort that Septimius Severus has to have himself named and recognized as the restorer of the city. So you see this coin that is issued by Septimius Severus, and you see it says on its back, Restitutor Orbis, with an image of Roma on it. This is how Severus wanted himself to be seen. And the marble plan demonstrates that restoration. And it also very clearly marks places where Septimius Severus either built or restored things. So this fragment, which comes from an area near to the Baths of Caesar in a candle making shop that's just to the north of the Colosseum, you can see it's a building we haven't discovered yet, but it's marked as a production or a construction of Severus and his son Antoninus Augustus. This is the Emperor Caracalla. And so Severus really wants everybody who looks at this marble plan to see the city and think, I know who rebuilt this, I know who built this, I know who rebuilt this, and I know that he truly is the restorer of the city. Now, in the Middle Ages and Renaissance, pieces of this plan sort of fell off of the wall, and they were then reused in buildings and other pieces of construction. More than 1,000 fragments of the marble plan have been discovered in excavations, and then also in kind of looking at structures that were, dismantled or taken down since the Renaissance. This represents about 10% of the total of what was once on the marble plan. But this is a really significant resource for those of us who study Roman history and people who are interested in Roman archaeology as well, because many of these remains that survive from the marble plan, they're labeled. So, for example, if you were to walk by the Colosseum and you were to see this monument, the Ludus Magnus, you might not know what it is, but the Severan Marble Plan identifies it for you. You can see on the left a piece of the Severan Marble Plan that says the Ludus Magnus. And then you look at this structure and you see you have that same circular kind of area that is represented on the marble plan. And then behind it, you see those kind of rooms that their archaeology has discovered, and it's also marked on the marble plan. And so if you were excavating this site and you didn't know what you had, you could see based on the marble plan, oh, this is the Ludus Magnus, because not only does it match what we have found, but it's also labeled. And because a lot of the marble plan has been able to be sort of placed on the location in the city where it is, you're able to kind of check, oh, I found this, archaeological remain. Maybe it's labeled. Maybe we can identify what it is from the marble plan. Now, the marble plan was for a very long time not, aside from pieces that were displayed in public exhibitions, it wasn't something that a lot of people could see. But in 2024, the city of Rome created a new museum, the Museum della Formis, on the Caelian Hill, where you can actually go and see the marble plan. And it's actually wonderful how they do this, because the remains of the marble plan are overlaid on a early modern map of the city of Rome, and then there's sort of very strong kind of see-through glass, and you can actually walk and see both how large this is, but also kind of walk the city and see the monuments listed on the marble plan. And so this is really a remarkable, impressive, and I think now my absolute favorite museum in the city of Rome. So if you're going to Rome, this is right between. It's a very kind of centrally located museum, right between the Colosseum and the entry to the Roman Forum, right across from the Caelian Hill. If you're there, definitely go and see this. This is a monument like nothing else that you'll be able to experience, and I can't recommend it highly enough.